Hi everybody, Fat Activist Gone Rogue here, and I wanted to tell you about an experience that I had today and some conversations that have come up for me today that I'm pretty excited about. It's been a really rough week for me. I'm struggling with some things that are going on in my personal life, and some of that has to do with the emotions surrounding the surgery, but a lot of it isn't. And I was feeling really down today, but I went to my son's play group and was talking to a woman that I met a month ago at the last play group who had had weight loss surgery. And when I met her, she was making a joke about how she gets to be the smaller sister now, but her sister gets to eat nachos, so, you know, choices. And I really liked her approach to it, that this was just a different choice that you could make. And at the time when she said that joke, I was thinking, cool, you made the choice to have weight loss surgery and I wouldn't make that choice. Haha. But either way, you don't look down on somebody for not making the choice, and you don't think you're better than for having made the choice. Now that I'm in the process of making that choice and getting ready for bariatric surgery, when I saw her, I was really excited because I was like, oh, hey, can I ask you some questions? And she was like, absolutely. I don't hide anything about my surgery or what I was thinking or what I went through or anything like that. She's on Instagram. And her name on Instagram is Mama's Melting, M-A-M-A-S, Melting, M-E-L-T-I-N-G. So look her up if you really want to do that. But when I was talking to her, she talked to me a lot about how she doesn't really skip a lot of food. She pays more attention to what she eats now. She's always trying to get the protein in. She's really conscientious of making food worth the effort. She had a vertical sleeve gastrectomy. That's what I'll be having. And then she had really bad acid reflux. So she had to go in and have a surgery to correct that. She talked about her surgeon like he was not just her surgeon, but her friend, and how much she trusted him, and how amazing he had been, and how supportive he had been. And she asked me who my surgeon was, and I told her Dr. Tyner. And she was really excited because that was her surgeon too, which made me happy. And then we talked about clothes, and we talked about losing a sense of your identity, because she, like me, had always been that positive and had taken a really long time to be invested in who she was rather than who she thought she should be. And then she had weight loss surgery. But one of the things that she told me about was that the people who have already done all the work to love themselves are prepared to deal with the really harsh side effects, and they're prepared to deal with the struggles that come along with having the bariatric surgery. So she told me that she thinks I'm going to be fine, because if I've spent, most of 31 years trying to be okay with who I am, I already know that life has its ups and downs, and I already know that there are good days and there are bad days. And I don't think that weight loss surgery is going to suddenly make me happy. I don't think that losing weight is going to be this happy pill where my life is just going to be better. And that was really reaffirming to hear. One of the other things that we talked about was that she went through a phase where she hated that she'd had the vertical sleeve, because her skin got all jiggly, and it didn't really matter that she had lost a bunch of weight. She didn't like the way she looked, and that's been a really vibrant and present concern for me, is that, well, I hate myself after I do this, because I'm losing control over how I look, and I'm losing control over my body, and I don't know how things are going to end up. And I hate that feeling about anything. I mean, if you rearrange the furniture in my house without telling me, I'm likely to melt down. But to have it in my own personal body seems really scary. And I know that part of it is giving up control, but I also know that part of it is like having to move away from a home that you've built over the last 30 years. This is my home, and sure, the sinks leak and the roof caves in when it rains, but it's my home. And now I have to have this complete home renovation. And I'm not sure that I'm going to like the results. But she also told me that now 170 pounds later, just readjusting, she's so glad she did it. And it's one of the best decisions besides having children that she's ever made. And I think that's really astounding words of praise and a really strong vote of affirmation for it. She talked to some degree about, I mentioned losing all my clothes, and she said, yeah, but then when you finally settle into a size, you get to buy all new clothes. And I said, I know, but it's not the same. She said, no, it's not. She just sort of left it at that. And it just sort of reminded me that things are not always good, but sometimes they just are the way they need to be. And maybe that was part of what I needed to hear when I made a video a couple days ago, was that things are not going to necessarily be great, but they're going to be manageable, survivable. We talked some about people who think that weight loss surgery is going to be the happy pill that saves them from an unhappy relationship or unhappy self-image, or they'll be, you know, richer, happier, and more lovable. And it doesn't work like that. And that people who are fat positive activists already know that and are prepared. That was the most important thing, I think you can tell because I repeated it a couple times, that I took from our conversation. But also the most practical thing that I took away from the conversation was that her surgeon is helping her get the skin excision surgery. She hasn't had a bad history of rashes or anything else like that, but to maintain her goal weight, and because the doctor feels like it is something that should automatically happen with weight loss surgery, they get all the paperwork in order for you to do it. If you maintain your goal weight for up to a year after surgery, and if you are consistent about checking in and doing your diets, and if you are a person who would benefit from the skin removal surgery, which pretty much everybody is, then he will get all the paperwork in order for you to do that and make it so that the insurance covers that. And that was really amazing to hear, because one of the big physical things that I'm worrying about is I know what my body looks like now, and I've learned to love what my body looks like now. And I'm already giving up all this control over my house. So then what do I do if I hate the house because of all the saggy skin? So hearing that getting the skin excision surgery is totally within the realm of possibility made me really gleeful. I think this week some of the stuff that I'm processing has more to do with my bipolar and has more to do with my interpersonal relationships than it does with my weight loss surgery, but I don't think that you can extricate them that neatly. I think that I'm having a lot of emotions and everything feels really heavy and really hard, in part because this part of my life feels out of my control. I think control is probably a really present thing for anybody who is the size that I am, and maybe I'm wildly generalizing, but I think that there's something pathological about needing control, not wanting to be controlled, or being perceived as being out of control that deeply affects us. And I think that fat women, especially by and large in this culture, are perceived as pathologically out of control. And I don't know how I feel about being perceived as pathologically out of control when I already feel like I'm out of control. So this week I'm working on giving up control, needing to have all the answers right away, and wanting to know how everything turns out before I actually get there. I know that knowing how things are going to end up makes me feel safer, But the world isn't always so scary as I think it's going to be when I don't know the answers, if that makes any sense. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. So that's my psychological goal for the week. My practical goal for the week is to keep working on portion control, keep working on staying hydrated. I'm pretty good about staying hydrated. I drink about 100 ounces of water a day, but I'm trying to stay hydrated with water and not indulge in a lot of sodas, juices, coffees, etc. Though I gotta say the decaf Americano is a really good friend of mine these days, but I'll probably live with water today. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I hope you're having a pretty good week, and we'll talk again soon.